One of my favorite times of the week, it's a visit with Cooper Mays, the Vol Report brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning. Coop, how are you, sir?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. It is summertime. You talked about how much you love this because there's not as much school in the way. You get to focus on yourself and your sport and how you feeling physically.
I feel good. Yeah, I'm. It's like I think I've talked about it on here before, but there's like no pressure at all in the summer. It's literally just like just got to get better. That's it. So, if you can't enjoy right now, then you really don't enjoy football.
Well, I'm gonna change tunes on you a little bit. I'm gonna change the direction. I'm glad you're enjoying now, and I'm sure you enjoyed last season. You've enjoyed a lot of football in your life, but
Right.
one of the things I wanted to talk about is tough times. When have been some of your toughest times as a football player or as a student athlete? When are some of the greatest challenges, even going back to high school?
Yeah. I would say my freshman year of college was probably really my freshman and sophomore year were like not my greatest times. Kind of just like regarding football, it's really hard coming in. I will say as a freshman, like it's I don't know what people don't talk about as much anymore, but I used to hear it a lot back in the day, like the freshman wall. Like everybody as a freshman like hits a wall where they just kind of like don't see a point in what they're doing and they think like the fruits of their labors are not going to come. So I would say that was one of my roughest times. Plus, we were 3-7 or 8 or whatever we were. So it's rough, but that was a rough time. Then sophomore year, I was injured for a good bit of that, and just battling to like finish the year was just such a brutal task and just a lot. People don't really realize what a lot of people go through and what a lot of people are going through playing through. So there's definitely a lot of dark times and a lot of hard times.
Well, there have been. That's why I'm so happy for you now and the success you're having. And you were not used to losing. I mean, for those that don't know, I mean, you went to Knoxville Catholic, that is one of the most successful schools in East Tennessee. So 3-7 or whatever the case may be in the middle of the season, that had to be a stark awakening.
Yeah, it was a big adjustment, especially like you said, coming from a high school that had a lot of wins and then a lot of good years or whatever with me and my brother. But the whole year was just weird. I mean, a lot of everything involved with like I don't know. It just wasn't really a great time in life. I feel like for a lot of people, and definitely wasn't a great football season for us. So anytime you aren't getting like the fruits of your labor, it's easy to go out there and practice hard when you're 10-1 or 10-2 or whatever we were, and it's easy to go out there when you're winning and stuff like that. But when you're not winning games and stuff's not going the way you want it to and the way you plan to, it gets really really rough.
Okay, well, I want to ask you the tough question. Did you ever even consider quitting? First, I want to remind people that the Vol Report with Cooper Mays is brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning, cityheatandair.com. You might not need a new unit. City Heating and Air Conditioning can give you the part or the coolant that'll help that unit continue. But if you do, know that you'll get a fair deal because integrity matters. 50 years in East Tennessee. Quitting ever crossed your mind?
When I was younger, maybe, yeah. But like when I was like, I'm talking about like elementary school, like elementary, like middle school. But no, no, never ever since I got past the age of like 10. No, but sometimes some of them car rides home were rough, man. There's a lot of times where you're like, God, I don't know if I want to do this.
Well, and you've got an older brother and a dad that played. Would they have even let you quit if you'd have said so? You were good at baseball. You could have done that.
No, no, I would have never quit. It was never like an option. But you think about it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you think about that is not a possibility. But I mean, I definitely was. There were some nights that were rough when I was like 8, 9. After bad games. But no, I mean, honestly, at this point in my life, like the game's given like so much to me, and like it's provided like a very different route for my life than I would have been on if I don't even really know what I where I would be at or what I'd be doing without football. So, it's given me a really good life, and it's let me meet a lot of really good people, and given me a really good opportunity to provide for whatever comes next in my life. So, you know,
Well, okay, you threw it out there, so I'm going to ask it. What would you be doing if not for football? And if you say baseball, the next step is going to be without athletics altogether.
no, yeah, without athletics, I don't know, man. I definitely saw. Here's what I think. I would go to like a state school or whatever, like that's free for 2 years. Like I'd be hitting up Pellissippi. That would be me for about 2 years. And I guess if my grades could hold up, which I don't, college is rough, man. I've kind of given school like my last little bit of juice. But maybe if it was the only thing I had to focus on, I could do good in it, and then I would go over to UT, I guess, and get some sort of degree, and then I don't know, man. That's I'd be in school. That's where I'll cut it there because I really don't know what I'd do if I didn't have any money you know, to
Yeah,
start.
well, I mean, what is your major now? If football were over tomorrow, what would you pursue? Do you think, or do you
Oh,
know?
definitely kinesiology, probably.
Okay, you and Jacob Warren both.
Yeah, but Jacob's following through with it, or did he? I think he's still a kinesiology major, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
saying what I would do if I didn't have football. I couldn't do kines with football. I tried it. It's not. That's not. It's a little bit too rough, man.
no, I hear that.
Guys out there. I'm pretty decently smart too. I tried the ACT once. I got a 29. So like it was. I'm 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 a decent student, but like the dedication it takes to like do chemistry and all that stuff, I couldn't.
Did you do all the pre-studying though and all that stuff and
Yeah,
get your 8 hours sleep?
yeah, yeah, all that. I did.
You be
I
you
even did the bubblegum trick where you use the same flavor and it's supposed to bring it back for you and everything.
What is that trick?
You're supposed to chew like per se, like I would say mint, but everybody uses mint for everything. So like do something distinct, like you maybe have like grape bubblegum if you use it while you study, and then you chew grape bubblegum on the test. Theoretically, according to scholars, this is not my words, but according to scholars that are smarter than me, it's supposed to be able to help your memory because you're doing something that's associated with what you were doing while you were studying it.
Do you use that in athletics at all?
No,
Yeah.
no. I mean, honestly, football is pretty easy for me, so I don't really have to do all that. But I guess I would if it was hard. Football can only be played so many ways, man. It's not rocket science. Like,
Yeah. So what we've determined though in these last 30 seconds, it's a little sobering for Dave, is that Cooper's bigger, stronger, more athletic, and got a better score in his ACT than I did.
heck yeah.
That's brutal, man. What are you doing to me? The things I do for you.
I
All I
was,
got's a 28.
I'm telling you, I was actually a decent student, man. I was in like AP courses, and then I realized I was like, man, I could probably get away with not being a great student at this point. But I never really did. Up until like I had like a 4.0 all the way until college, man. I was pretty decent. Stanford was going to recruit me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it's obvious you're very intelligent, but I didn't want to get topped in a college entrance exam today.
You know, you win some, you lose some, and I won one today.
you,
Won
I
one.
think you've won quite a bit. So you overcome all that, and then I'm curious the fruits of your labor that you saw last year. How much sweeter does that make it that you overcame the season of losing? You overcame a season of injuries, and there you were last year. Do you think back on those tough times when stuff's going well?
Yeah, you definitely do. I mean, you got to put in perspective where you came from and what drove you. So there's after your big moments, you look at stuff like that, like I don't know, beating Alabama. Like after that, you have like the biggest high ever because you're just like, I mean, all the people that doubted you, you know what I'm saying? All the people that like they can't really say anything to you now. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's how you feel when you accomplish some big stuff and you kind of just look back and you're like, I proved myself right. I didn't prove anybody wrong, but I proved myself right. You know what I'm saying?
There you go. That's my endeavor as well. So you if there was the transfer portal out there, would you have considered looking around? I know that's a big theoretical, but
Talking about my first 2 years.
Yes.
It was around.
Okay, so you
I
didn't.
was a soldier though, you know. So I mean, it's just, and I'm a local soldier too. So I
So
was
you didn't even consider it though.
transferring.
Yes.
No, I mean, transfer wasn't gonna make my ankle feel better. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, where was I gonna go? You know, I was gonna go somewhere and my ankle was still gonna be hurt. You know, it was gonna. I mean, it wasn't gonna fix anything. So you just get in the
Who
off season, man. You let yourself your bumps and bruises heal up, and you prepare for another season, a better season.
who has the least amount of quit on your football team right now? Who's the guy that is absolutely at it all the time? He might not be the most talented, but he has the best motor. Who has the least quit of everybody on the football team?
Dude, that's a great question, and I think you would have to do the one-on-one fight thing till the death to probably figure it out. But I don't know. I mean, there's a lot. We've got a really good group of guys, man. I mean, like you don't do what we did last year without having a bunch of guys that are willing to fight and go to war. So I mean, I can't really pick out one person, man. But I think there's a lot of guys on our team that are, really tough dudes and lay it out on the line. Man, I will say this. I'll put maybe I don't know if he's the toughest guy or whatever, but I have a lot of respect for this guy. I think he's a warrior. Is Brew McCoy. I think I really respect his game as a wide receiver, man. There's not a lot of guys out on the perimeter that are playing physical like that, man. That I gotta tip my hat to Brew.
Well, but he's supposed to be the wide receiver diva who came from Southern Cal and all that. But everybody I talk to says what you say. He's not like that.
Dude, I don't know. He's old school, man. He's a throwback. I have a lot of respect for that guy. I mean, it's just like y'all need to pay attention because there's a lot of good stuff going out on like when it's not just catching the ball and 70-yard passes and whatever. There's a lot of good stuff going on out of the perimeter.
No, absolutely, and he's great with his hands, and he has incredible amount of physical ability at the line. I've noticed that as well, and he kind of steps into that leadership role. I would think this year because last year we didn't know if he was going to play a week before the season, but do you expect him to step into that leadership role? Is he that type of guy?
Yeah, he definitely has. He's done a really good job. He's not a very like crazy vocal guy. He's quiet and reserved, but obviously speaks loudly when he needs to and does stuff the right way. So people respect that and he sets the example well and he's a great guy to have around. He's definitely done a really good job at, stepping into that role and filling a little bit of that void right there.
So we're doing this series. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. If you hit like, it brings more people in. Feel free to comment on questions you might want me to ask Cooper next week. The Ball Report again brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning, City Heat and Air.com. So we're doing this Celebrate 98 series, and their thing was on Sundays, they always got together for cookouts. What do you guys do for fun?
Yeah, basically the same thing. I mean, it's not like a set thing like every Sunday, but there's always going to be people cooking, at their respective apartments, at the pools and everything. So there's good times that are being had, either cookouts, going to eat with each other, just hanging out in general, whatever you want to do. But we're really close as a group, and especially over the last few years, we've gotten closer. So that, like you said, cookouts and stuff like that, going out to see movies and everything. We got a lot more free time now, so you can do a lot more. A lot of guys go fishing and everything. So, and we got a lot of team events now that we just got done doing golf. So golf was pretty cool. Absolutely hit a rocket, hit a missile.
Did you? All right. How far?
Oh, it wasn't that far, man. It was like it was only like 200. But like the thing is, though, I haven't hit a golf ball since like fifth grade. So hitting one on a straight line that was rising for 200, I mean, it's pretty decent. I hit it to the end of the net, top golf, like the back net. It was only like 200 though, like I said.
Well, that's pretty strong. I would take that in a heartbeat. How much bonding, and you may not even realize it now, but how much bonding goes on during those times away from the field where you get to know each other from 1 to 85?
Honestly, I would say it's inverse. Like I would say you bond more in the facility than out. I mean, obviously, I've talked about it on here before. I feel like I said it a lot, but I feel like I've talked about it on here before. Like where you really get close, I think, is when you're going through bad stuff and hard times and struggles and such. So I think that's where you really grow as a team. You know, when stuff really sucks and you find out what each other is made of. You know, and you figure out who's a guy that you can really count on and who's a guy that's going to fold. So that's where I'd say. But I mean, yeah, bonding like that can only go so far in the facility, and that's when you kind of transfer to like cookouts, stuff like that, fishing, hanging out. That's when you really get close as friends and everything. So every place has their part, man. But just the way we live, there's no choice but to either like love or hate each other. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no like middle ground where you just don't associate. Like you either have like a lot of love for the person or you're mad at them, which either way ends up being a good relationship probably.
Sure. When it's the summer, can you get a feel for team chemistry? You've gone because you and I've talked about this. I think sometimes fans don't understand that team chemistry can change a lot from year to year. Might not this year with you guys because of the returning impact players, but can you get a feel for team chemistry in the summer, or do you have to get into preseason camp in the season?
I think it all kind of is telling at its own times, but I think you can definitely see how a team works in the summer. When there's, like I said, there's not a lot of pressure and there's not a lot of stuff going on, and you got to buckle down and say, I've got to get better every single day, even when it's monotonous and it's day by day. But, you obviously see a lot of somebody when it gets to fall camp and whatever. But definitely, I think you can see a little bit of it, a little bit of team chemistry, but it takes time, man. It takes time to build, and we're not anywhere close to where we're going to be. So it's hard to judge, but I think we have a really good group of guys. I've been adamant that I think the guys we recruit are good human beings and good teammates. So that makes it really, really easy to have like even keeled and level headed, kind of relationships all throughout the team.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for that. Sure, you want the most talented guys, but you have to have character guys as well. You happen to be both. How strong of a compliment is that? Character guy and elite athlete. Does it get any better?
No, it definitely gets better than me, I'd say.
No, I mean, do compliments get any better?
Oh no, yeah, that's a great guy. That's a great compliment there.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
pretty
he's
good.
trying to be an and guy. You know what I'm saying? Not a but.
And what does that mean? What does that and not a but mean?
So when you're getting drafted, or like when scouts are talking about you, he's a great player, and he's a great student, and he's a leader.
Oh,
Or
okay.
he's a great player, but he's got off the field issues, but he doesn't go to class. But you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
it's real. There's a little bit of
Or like he was a great athletic quarterback in the SEC, but he never got it done in games. And I'm not going to ask you to fill in the blank, but you probably could.
It's me.
No, okay. I'm talking about a quarterback. I'm talking about a quarterback.
About me. Don't.
No, I'm not talking about you. There were a couple of guys in the SEC that there were butt guys.
No, I'm kidding. There's guys every year that are butt guys. You usually don't hear about them because the butts usually get you put on the bench pretty quick. But there's some guys that can overcome. Not a lot, but there are some.
Yeah. Don't be a butt guy. That's what Cooper Mays is telling you. The Vol Report brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning. 50 years in Knoxville. Integrity matters. City Heat and Air.com. A presentation of Off the Hook Sports.